Sauria Isle, Part 3, The Echoes of the Abyss. A ripple disturbed the black glass of the ocean. It wasn't the wind. A massive, streamlined shape glided beneath the skiff, its bioluminescent scales casting a sickly blue glow through the depths. The Tylosaurus, the prehistoric leviathan of the deep, was circling. Darius realized with a jolt of ice in his veins that the pier hadn't been the end of the hunt. The island's influence extended far beneath the waves. Desperation drove him over the side just as the skiff was crushed like a tin can. Darius lunged for a rusted ladder hanging from the station's base. He climbed with a feverish intensity, the sound of the leviathan's snapping jaws echoing beneath his dangling boots. He hauled himself through a heavy pressure door, collapsing onto a floor slick with sea salt and old, dried blood. The interior of Apex Station was a graveyard of ambition. Darius moved through a corridor lined with shattered glass and flickering emergency lights. On the walls, framed photographs showed smiling scientists shaking hands with corporate executives. But the faces in the photos had been systematically scratched out with something sharp. In a corner, he found a pile of discarded ID badges, all belonging to contest winners from years past. He entered the biosynthesis lab, where the air was thick with the smell of formaldehyde and ozone. Row after row of floor-to-ceiling glass vats filled the room. Inside them weren't dinosaurs, but nightmares, hybrids of prehistoric DNA and something else, something far more familiar. Darius stared at a creature with the elongated skull of a raptor and the unmistakable, grasping hands of a human. They weren't building a park, Darius. They were building an inheritance. A voice rasped from the shadows. A man emerged, his skin like parchment and his lab coat tattered into rags. This was Eris Thorne, the lead geneticist who had been reported missing a decade ago. He clutched a jagged piece of rebar like a holy relic, his eyes darting toward the ceiling vents. Eris grabbed Darius's arm, his grip surprisingly strong. "The ultimate experience isn't about the tour," Eris hissed, dragging him toward a wall of monitors. "It's a field test. You weren't a guest, you were the stimulus. They need to see how the alpha hunts a thinking prey before they ship the specimens to the mainland." On the screen, a thermal camera showed a creature moving through the vents directly above them, something fast, cold, and intelligent. The ceiling tiles shrieked as they were torn away. The alpha dropped, a creature of pure, engineered malice. It was smaller than the Rex but moved with a terrifying, fluid grace. Its skin was a matte black that swallowed the light, and its eyes were a piercing, synthetic violet. It didn't roar. It hissed a sequence of sounds that mimicked human speech patterns, a mocking echo of its creators. "Run, boy. Tell them the offering has been rejected," Eris screamed, lunging at the alpha with his rusted rod. The creature moved faster than the eye could follow. It caught Eris mid-air, its powerful hind legs kicking out with scythe-like claws. Eris looked back at Darius one last time, a grimace of sacrificial resolve on his face, as he pinned the beast against a row of volatile chemical canisters. The explosion rocked the station, a cleansing fire that bloomed in the dark. Darius dived into an escape pod as the laboratory dissolved into a roar of orange flame. As the pod launched into the morning sky, he looked down. The Apex Station was sinking, but the screens in his pod were still active. They showed a map of the world, dotted with hundreds of red icons, labeled Sauria distribution hubs. The island wasn't the end, it was the prototype,